Hi everyone. Okay, so I was asked by one of my subscribers to chat about mental health because it's a massive topic and obviously we need to have that conversation. I think it's really, really important that we do. So I thought I would just chat about my dealings with mental health, and if it helps anyone, it does. And if it doesn't, we've lost nothing. Okay, so obviously mental health is such a massive thing. Everybody is touched by mental health in some form or other, and I think it's something like 1 in 3 people will suffer from depression within their lifetime. So we do need to talk about it, and we need to get real and start treating it in the same way we would treat a broken leg, and recognize that we have a broken brain, a broken brain, whatever it is. You know what I'm talking about. We're not well, and it's okay to talk about it. And it can be the same as saying, "Oh, did you have that flu the other week? Oh, that's bad. How are you feeling now? Oh, I'm feeling all right now. Oh, I heard that you were suffering with a bit of depression. How are you feeling?" Whatever, I heard that you were struggling with OCD. How are you feeling? I heard, whatever it is, we need to open up the conversation and make it less of this stigma attached to it, because, the truth of it is people are going through this behind closed doors and they don't need to. And when we open up the conversation and we reach out to people, you realize that a lot of people suffer from anxiety, depression, stress, eating disorders, OCD, all manner of different mental health problems. So let's have a conversation and be real about it. So my first sort of dealings, when I was certainly a lot younger, and then when I lived on my own, OCD was a big problem for me. It never got to the extent of going to see a doctor, but I knew it became a problem when I lived on my own. I knew I had OCD, and I kind of laughed it off and put it down to being a silly creative who has too many things going on. But when I lived on my own, it was becoming very much, there were very big rituals, and I was really anxious when I didn't do them. Mine sort of came from, I think, being an actor and having that lack of control within my life. And mine were all based around having good luck or bad luck, like not wanting to get bad luck. And even though the reality is I don't even believe in good or bad luck so much, not in most of your life, you make your own luck. But for whatever reason, the OCD brain goes, just do it. Just do the weird OCD ritual. And then the logical brain's like, what are you doing? You look like a knob. Can you stop doing that, please? This is ridiculous. It has no bearing on what's happening. And the OCD brain's like, yeah, but just do it. Just do it. You got to lose. It'll take 5 extra more minutes. But that's the battle that people that have these compulsions have going on in their head. Their logical, normal self that they show to other people will be like, you're being ridiculous. And then their OCD head's going, just do it. So mine were all about good luck and bad luck and not wanting to get bad luck. And, if somebody told me about touching wood for good luck or knocking on wood, then I would do it obsessively, and it became really... And I won't tell you all of them, because I know that when people told me their rituals, I'd think, oh yeah, I should probably do that. If they're doing that, then maybe there's something in that. So I'm not going to give you the OCD traits that I had. But it got to a point where it was getting a bit ridiculous. I knew it was. So I read up a lot on it. And I found that for me, I was able to work on it myself. I'm very much into self-development and self-help. And I was able to recognise that when I was starting to do this, it was times of anxiety. So I needed to eliminate the anxiety and the reasons for that anxiety to stop doing them. And I still do certain things now, but again, now I know that it's probably because something's going on, so I should try and deal with that rather than focus on doing some weird freaky rituals. That it's a bit annoying though, because a lot of people have cleaning OCD where they clean up and wash their hands and stuff. Didn't have that one. Might have been better because my room's a mess. But anyway, so that was my first sort of dealings, and I sort of felt I'd sort of skimmed past the whole depression and things like that, and in such a crazy business of the acting world with highs and lows and all that kind of stuff, it seemed like, wow, she hasn't had an eating disorder, she hasn't had this, that was my first sorts of dealings with it, with OCD. And then 2 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer, and again, I felt I was dealing with it pretty well, like all considered. Don't get me wrong, we cried and we had all the worries and the fears and stuff, but overall, the seriousness of the what we have going on, I had dealt with it pretty well. And I think last year, this is the second year into his diagnosis. I think actually last year I wasn't coping as well as I felt I was. and I was doing things that weren't particularly healthy for me, and working myself too hard and not looking after myself and completely distracting my mind. And you don't always notice it. It kind of sneaks up on you sometimes. You think you're right. And the thing is, people imagine depressed people are like miserable all the time, and they're not. You can be depressed, you can have anxiety, and you can be happy, and it's not like a front necessarily. It could just be that you do feel that, but then, you know, there's other ways that it comes out and it manifests itself for you. So I've found that by the end of last year, after having a lot of other things piled on top of what we already were dealing with, I had what I guess is a mini breakdown. I'm not going to say it was a massive thing because I've come out of it and I don't dwell on stuff, but I wasn't very well, and I wasn't looking after myself, and I wasn't functioning properly, and I wasn't really looking after my family in the best way. And I found I felt like I was wading through mud every day and just couldn't get my focus right. And then I was doing things obsessively that weren't benefiting me, and I wasn't living properly. I just wasn't. And it's very clear to me now, looking back on the whole year, that actually it had been coming a lot longer than I had actually realised. But I stopped and I went, enough is enough. I need to deal with this now because I can't get sick in my family. So I went to the doctor, which is a big step, and going to the doctor can be a really frightening thing. You feel embarrassed and you feel like you're weak, or you're not coping well enough, or people will judge you, and you have all those worries. I had those worries, even though I know it's a load of bollocks. I know that people don't necessarily think that, and I know it doesn't mean that you're weak. I know all of these things, and it's much braver to admit when you've got a problem. So I went and spoke to the doctor. My doctor's fantastic, and he said, I thought we'd seen you before now. And I said, well, I'm doing everything I normally do, but it's not working. I'm not coping. So we discussed our options, and we set a plan in motion for me, and I'm actually feeling a lot better. I feel great, actually. I feel really good. And I still have to watch certain behaviours that I know for me mean that I'm probably overdoing myself, and I'm doing things that might not be healthy in the long run. I'm much better than I've been in a long time, so that's a good thing. So for those of you that are going through it, just know that there is the other side to things, and you can do it. You really can. You've got to seek help. The other worry is that friends and family will feel that they're somehow to blame, or that they should have done more and known more, and it's rubbish. If you're a friend of somebody who's gone through that, then just know that as long as you're being a kind person and you're looking after them as you would any friend, sometimes there's nothing you can do. And I'm not necessarily a person who would... I like to deal with things on my own. I'm quite a strong character, so I rarely find use in talking to people, but actually I've found that being more open about my journey and my struggles has actually been really beneficial to others as well. So that's why I'm speaking about it. Before my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer, he also suffered with depression as well. So before my own, I had actually helped my husband with some very, very dark days. And we found meditating, we found talking about things. I'm very much about the reality. I'm not religious in any way, so I believe very much in the here and now. And I believe in my self-control and my own destiny and having responsibility for myself. So the same way with my husband, even in his darkest times, I would say to him, tell me what you're thinking. Tell me what you're thinking. I don't care how bad it is. I've got to hear it. And sometimes I would hear things that weren't particularly nice, because he was in a very dark place. He had a brain tumour pushing on his head, we didn't know. And it was creating lots of problems for him in his mind. And so for me, hearing that was very hard. And if you're with somebody who is suffering depression, it's very hard. But know, again, that they can get through that. And yeah, you've got to talk about it. Reality is important, and asking the question. Don't hide from it, because if you hide from it and you don't talk, then worse things can happen. And I think we all know that, suicide, particularly in males, is very high, and it's just tragic. It's tragic. And I've lost friends to suicide, and it's horrendous. It's horrendous that people have not been able to open up and not felt there was help out there for them. So if you're watching this and you are in a really dark place, then I urge you to speak to people. Please feel free to message under this, and I can see if I can help to point you in the right direction. I'm certainly not qualified to, discuss things any further than that. But I would really speak to people, say when it's bad, talk about it when it's scary, because when you do, actually people really help and it feels better. When you keep it inside, your anxiety and your worries will make it into something that it isn't. And when you put it out and you say it and you write it down or whatever works for you, you put it on YouTube. Maybe don't put it on YouTube necessarily, but whatever works for you to help you to get it out, just do it. And notice when you have certain patterns of behavior that aren't very healthy, and eat well, that helps. Exercise, that helps with depression and things like that. And go and speak to the professionals. That's what they're there for. They know about this brain stuff. They know about what goes on in that. But look after yourself, and I hope this has helped some of you. I know it's a long video, but I think it was important to talk about it more openly. And I hope the lady who asked me to talk about mental health, this has benefited you in some way. But know that we're all a little bit mad. We're all a little bit crazy. We all go through, we're all just trying to get through life. And you know what? Sometimes we're going to mess up. Sometimes we're not going to feel great. Sometimes you're going to feel shit. And it's okay. Some days it's just one foot in front of the other. Get dressed, get up, do what you got to do. And then just go out and find things that work for you. Look, seek the beauty in the world, and you will start to see it. And we'll do more on this. I'll do more on being positive, because I am actually super positive, really badly super positive. How can you be badly positive? That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I'm really positive, so I'll do some videos on that and how to change a negative mindset, because I'm massively into that. So anyway, I hope this has helped, and I hope you all have a fantastic week, day, whatever. Peace out.